welcome back to D&D&D&D.
Oh, level 2.
Level 2. This is going to be a session unless you guys just really, really like kind of dick around for a while. But this is just going to be an interlude, prologue, and chapter 1. A chance for your characters to like start like maybe picking up some new proficiencies or like kind of establish interactions with characters, things like that. Just kind of a chance to like like give us a peek into what you're doing. So you guys are ready? We'll dive back into our little setting here. Fun. Okay, so I gotta enter my mind palace.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and be more descriptive. I've been trying to learn how to be a better DM, so I'm gonna try to be more descriptive in the future. So, you guys exit the little underground city. Quotation marks. Below the island of Torch and re-emerge back into the sunlight. And as had been discussed already, Anna and Professor Plaster themselves in their little freaking rundown laboratory to study intently the symbols on the door to figure out where you guys are going to need to go next.
So intense.
But Anna, basically the only thing you guys see of Anna for weeks is her popping by occasionally. It looks like she hasn't slept in a while and is running pretty much on caffeine and adrenaline to pay for you guys to continue to stay at the inn, which it's pretty cheap because they're still fixing that leaky roof. So, uh, so you guys don't see much of them for a while. Just kind of contents herself to wander the town. You don't see much of her either. Uh, in fact, like you'll often just not see her for days outright. But then she'll suddenly pop up in the tavern again as if nothing had happened. So who knows what's going on there? But you guys settle tavern. Um, Brian, you've been back at Tortage for a couple days now. Um, you've gotten used to the town a bit. You're starting to figure out where everything is in relation to each other, as clustered and confusing as it is. You find it a bit difficult to sleep sometimes. Sometimes you, especially the less adjusted to like grimy living situations, often find yourself woken up by gunshots outside or what you hope is the screams of an animal in the jungle not far from the town. But as you guys settle into routine, you decide to find something to. Oh, and for context on recording, Captain Red's player is going to be taking a bit of a break. I will explain the character's absence later, but just for now, we're focusing. So, Flower and Fall. Been in Tortage for a couple days now, gotten used to town, and decide you need to fill some time. So, what are you going to do until Anna returns with some information? Go interact.
Visit the wizard man.
The wizard you bought the scroll from?
Yeah.
Alright, give me a second. I have a lot of notes. I just need to. Boom. Shh, don't judge me.
It's fine.
Okay, so you go to visit Magar in his little shop, not too far from your inn, just in the back alley across from it. The shop is actually looking a lot nicer as you walk in. What once was just basically a square room, basically a wooden version of the classic Minecraft dirt house, with scrolls and spell books scattered around with nothing but the table and crystal ball in the center, has been cleaned up a lot. He's gotten some bookshelves to actually properly store things. The scrolls are still stored a bit haphazardly, but overall, it seems like he's actually cleaned himself up a bit. And Magar is currently flipping through one of those spell books, but when he hears the door, he turns around and you see as he turns that his face is a lot clearer. He's not shaved the classic wizard, kind of trimmed it a bit, made it a bit clean and elegant. And his clothes seem to have actually been washed now. And he smiles brightly and closes the spell book with a uh, and smiles brightly as you find enter, uh, and says, "Welcome back to my shop. What can I help you two with?"
We just wanted to visit.
He seems pleasantly surprised. His eyes kind of open widely, and you can see he's normally kind of squinting at you, being kind of on the old side. But whenever his eyes open widely, you can see his eyes are a deep silver. Um, but he smiles brightly and says, "Well, I can always make time for you." He puts the spell book on its shelf and takes a seat across from his wall table and gestures to the chair opposite it. And as you two sit down, just I assume like sitting on opposite arms of the chair or something, being small.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he leans across the table at you, smiling, and says, "You two really got me out of a jam with your generosity. Has the spell scroll come in handy?"
Yeah. Back to us almost dying.
It's like you two just gotta sit there, like, uh, but seemingly unnoticed of your hesitation, he smiles and says, "Well, I'm happy to have helped. And as you can see," and he gestures very much cleaned up abode. "You two helped me a lot significantly. Gold goes for a lot in this town, and if it wasn't for you, I probably wouldn't have been able to keep this place."
Don't worry about it, Mr. Magic Man.
He kind of smiles like that, the smile of like a grandfather looking upon his grandkids, and says, "Mr. Magic Man, I like that. I might use that."
Alright, new nickname.
um, do you gonna keep hanging out here, or do you want to visit anyone else? Again, this is like this is your
Probably
time.
just hang out with him. I mean, like, we don't really know many other people.
That's fair. So you're probably just gonna kind of anytime you're not doing anything else, just kind of visit until Anna comes to get you.
I mean, he's a big grandpa, Magic Man.
Go ahead and make me a persuade.
Oh.
Oh, wait.
Ah.
17.
Um. So you like you were saying, like pretty much every day you're not doing something else. You come to visit Magar. And he's always happy to see time for you. The shop doesn't get like progressively any cleaner or anything. It seems like he's one of those people who kind of prefers a certain amount of clutter. Um, you do see out of the corner of your eye that he has raised prices on spells a little bit to make them. Well, he's still pretty generous, especially with like really high level spells. He's just a very generous spirit at heart, but he has raised them to be a bit more fair now that he's not so desperate.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and eventually, as you've been keeping up this routine for a couple weeks, whenever you arrive, he actually has a spell book on the table where you sit. And as he sits
Ooh.
down across from you, from his usual spot across the crystal ball, he shakes his head as you two enter, greeting him as the usual.
Mhm.
Mr. Magic Man, what's this?
Um, he smiles at you two with a twinkle in his eye, and says, "You two were very generous with me, and I know one gold piece doesn't seem like much, but you really got me out of a jam, and I can't simply let you come visiting my abode as often as you do without getting some sort of gift." He kind of considers for a bit before tapping his weathered hand on the spell book and says, "Feel free to rifle through this, and I want to just give you another spell in case I hear you two are going on some sort of crazy adventure soon, and I prefer having it on my conscience that I did everything I could.
Ah, imagine me. You're so nice. And you give him a little hug.
He smiles and gingerly, with one hand, hugs each of the back, being very small. And that's going to be my new descriptor for you. Very small.
Being of
uh,
the small variety.
as you start flipping through the spellbook, in response to what you said, he simply says, "Well, what are you to be? Not kind."
Good man right there.
So you flip through the spell book, and it contains just about any spell you can think of. You one spell scroll of 7th level or lower.
Wow. I mean,
To pick up from Magar the Mighty Mage.
7th level is pretty powerful.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, last time he was offering 9th level spells for 1 gold. Like, this is a man who's more generous than any human has the right to be, and at the time he was more desperate for points.
Yeah.
I mean, still, man. I don't think warlocks can go that high.
One more time, sorry? I just didn't hear you.
I'm not even sure if warlocks can do 7th, or I think actually that might be the highest they can go is 7th level.
Fair enough.
But I mean, generous man is generous. Free spell.
Yeah. And to be fair, scrolls only work once.
Yeah.
So, Flower and Fall, do you know what spell you want to get from him? Or,
Heal.
Sure. As you, so go ahead and make your quote unquote offer best.
Well, yeah. Can we get the scroll for heal?
He smiles and immediately pulls a scroll from his robe and kind of does that thing where he like tosses it so it flips over in his hand and hands the other end to you, and says, "I thought you might say that."
Thanks, Valcor.
He smiles and says, "It's Magar, actually."
Whatever.
He
Your
doesn't
new
seem
name
upset
is
by it.
Magic
He was
Man.
more just kind of correcting you. Uh, he smiles and says, "I suppose it's only natural that you are all about keeping other people in fighting fit, given your generosity with me before."
Yep. We try to do our best. Being our friend.
Well, what else are you to do in this world except your best?
True.
He opens his arms widely and says, "Do your best, both for yourself and for others."
Of course.
So you two just kind of, tea and crumpets the day away. He does get into the habit of making tea right before you guys show up, so that it's ready by the time you get there. He even has little tiny thimble teacups, especially for you.
Yeah.
So so you're just gonna keep visiting him until Anna calls for you.
Yeah. Man.
All right. I'm glad you like him. And hey, um, so go ahead and note that you have a scroll of healing. Um, uh, Bryn. Now Paul. Bryn, with Anna not really ever stopping for extensive conversation, although you imagine if she stopped for more than a second, she'd probably just drop on the spot. Flower and Fall, of course, are like, talkative and cool, but usually are off visiting Magar. And Captain Red buries himself deep in his drink. You already kind of got the impression, both from trip here and from his time while you were adventuring, that he had a tendency to get pretty deeply binging on the drink. So you imagine you're not going to get too much out of him while he basically lives in the tavern for weeks. So what are you going to do to pass the time, since it doesn't seem like any of your traveling compatriots are going to be much for conversation for a while?
Yeah, I've been giving it some thought for the past, 10 minutes. And I want to go buy. I want to buy a fishing rod.
Okay. Uh, so you go to approach the little Cyclops Run bazaar from before. Um, sorry. Uh, so you go to approach the little collection of shops here. I have a lot of notes. So many notes.
If only there was rifle.
I have my book right here, so you know.
Yeah, just rustle the pages for a second.
Alright, deal with it.
Um. So as soon as you step out of the tavern slash inn,
I get robbed
you
again.
huh?
Then I get robbed again.
Yeah, could you imagine? I just set you off on another combat encounter. No, actually, now that you mention that, both of you go ahead and make me a perception check.
Oh. Well. I'll be perception. Good perception. That'd be 18.
All right, powerful.
Where's my D?
Yeah, good perception.
That's a 13.
Both of you have noticed lately, in this little pirate town,
They're
you
getting
get
cleaner.
Huh?
They're getting cleaner.
yeah. This little pirate town, ever since you got rid of the Bendy Band, those pickpockets you fought, you notice that while there is still a huge criminal element because the mafia and the thieves touched,
Yeah.
you notice that the little area you kind of live in, the little market stall, which from local gossip is just kind of the ground that the two sides are kind of fighting over, but obviously don't
Like that.
blasting each other in the streets.
Yeah. Which one?
Yeah, the kind of little area, has actually been fairly, like, outside of the occasional drunk, and you get the person who's occasionally trying to like con you, but you haven't seen like any like pickpockets. You've slowly been able to like, kind of loosen your grip on your money pouch
What
every
little
time you
money I
step
have
outside.
left.
It seems like you guys made quite the impression by getting rid of the most serious kind of neutral gang. So now all that's really left is the mafia and the thieves. So this little neutral ground has become a lot more pleasant, and because of that, you notice the townspeople are a lot more like kind of open and friendly when you talk to them.
Mm.
Uh, so, as soon as you step out, Paul, it's been, so like I said, it's been about a week since you went down into the dungeon, and you've just kind of gotten used to your little routine. As soon as you step out, deciding to go shopping for a fishing rod, you hear a little squeak from the very next town district over, coming towards you, little. And Dolly approaches with her wagon of goods. Um, uh, and she smiles up at you. Go ahead and make me a insight check.
Insight. How good am I in that? Oh, I'm good at that kind of stuff. Hey. That will be a 19.
She smiles up at you, and seems surprised to see you, although you kind of give her the once over, and you notice that it all seems very scripted. It seems like she was completely planning this. And she smiles up at you and says, "Oh, I didn't expect to see you there. I'm Dolly."
Well, man, I guess I'll introduce myself again. I don't know if I introduced myself, but I feel
Yeah,
like
you did.
all right.
Because you're inside. She's just doing her
I
knows who you are, and she knows you want to buy something. That's why she's
I just
here.
didn't know. Didn't remember if I introduced myself, but I'll I'll play along for now. Be like, hmm. Well, just in case you've forgotten, I am Paul.
She kind of puts a finger to her mouth, cutely, and kind of tilts her head to the side, and says, "Oh, I suppose I did forget." Uh, and she kind of like she basically like kind of throws her like the little handle of the wagon that you drag behind you. She kind of throws it so that kind of like not like hard, but just kind of slams onto your foot, and says, "Buy something."
Alright. Straight to the point. Um,
Because of your good insight check, I'll allow you this. You notice when you look at her and when she says that, it seems like she actually just knows that you want something and she just wants you to buy it from her specifically.
but I guess I'll ask her. Do you perhaps have a fishing pole?
She kind of smiles at you, and again, insight check. So you're getting a lot of info from her. It seems like
Got her
you're,
down.
yeah, you kind of caught her off guard. Either that or she's be kind of straightforward. um she smiles, and it kind of has that like sinister look to it, and she promptly digs around in her wagon and pulls a fishing rod out of it, and kind of spins it over her head like a uh crossing guard. Yeah, I was trying to think of the term I was thinking of. Like a crossing guard kind of spins it before letting it land at her side. Uh, and she also pulls a little box of fishing line, and
Mm.
she lays the two things at your feet. Maybe a perception check.
All right. Oh wow, that's 19 plus 5, 24.
You notice that the box has like a blood spatter
Mm.
on like the grip of it, and that the fishing line itself, or like the fishing rod rather, has a few kind of splats on it. uh and your insight check was good, but she is hiding her like how she got acquired these items.
Yeah.
But she simply lays them at your feet, smiles up at you, and she kind of crunches the numbers in her head. um after a brief pause, she speaks up and says, "For all of this, I think 2 gold pieces is completely fair."
I guess that's
Uh,
not fair, but
yeah, I was gonna say because you got a 19
yeah,
on your insight. Uh,
I'm pretty sure you probably find it better. But I'm gonna.
uh, or rather, you remember from because you occasionally pop by the E family bar, um, uh, as you kind of just chill out here in town. Uh, while you don't recall if they actually sell fishing rods, you two have kind of, like just kind of chilled occasionally and made conversation whenever you had nothing better to do. And you can recall from what they've talked about with like things they have sold in the past that she's not like doubling the price or anything, but she is upselling you. Uh, Basically, this overall would actually come out to about a gold piece and 6 shillings. So she's just doubling the shilling count to try and, well, shill you a bit.
Oh, you darling.
Yeah. Time to hassle a little bit. Yeah.
You mean haggle?
Yeah, haggle. I don't do very much,
Hassle.
right? Yep.
I mean, either one is appropriate.
Yeah, but um,
Because you don't know if the E family is actually selling fishing rods. So if you want one,
yeah,
especially with it
I
coming with extra line, you can either bite the bullet, negotiate, or turn her away and just hope that the E family is selling one.
True. All right. I pull out 1 gold and 8 shillings or 8 silver pieces or whatever.
That's shillings. They basically they function like the D&D silver piece, just like made it an in-unit currency.
Yeah, I pull out 1 gold and 8 shillings and offer that and be like, "How about a friendly discount?"
Make a persuasion check.
Persuasion. Oh yeah, that's where. Okay, I got a 12.
She kind of mulls it over for a second. She realizes pretty quickly that you caught on that she was upselling you. Before she gingerly takes the money out of your hand and says, "Dolly doesn't have friends; she has customers. But if you promise to tell your friends to always shop at Dolly's," and she kind of spins the wagon around so that her little homemade paint logo is on full display, then I will accept.
All right. Seems like we have ourselves a deal.
She smiles and says, "Thank you for your patronage." And with very little ceremony, doesn't even like hand you the fishing rod and the line. She just where she put it on the ground and walks away with a little wagon.
All right. So.
So she's a little mad.
No, like she just doesn't seem like she's ceremony people.
Yeah, I guess. What do you even want money for?
Well, she lives in a pirate town. She has to buy things.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but like,
Food.
does she need? You know, like a doll?
Well, she has to keep her store stocked, doesn't she?
I guess, but it looks like she takes it first.
Oh, hey, you guys could ask her about that at some point.
I don't know if I want to.
Yeah. I guess with my new bloody fishing rod and
You
toolbox.
can just clean it off.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm gonna clean my things.
Okay, so altogether, counting what already came with the fishing line, you have 60 feet
Oh.
of fishing line. So every
1 feet, I'm guessing.
yeah, we'll use 10 feet of it. So counting what it came
So
with, you get
60.
fishing line 6 times before running out. Oh, and just go ahead and note that you're down 8 shilling.
Yeah, or it was 1 gold, 8 shillings. So I did that.
So all right. So yeah, so you can use. I don't. If fishing, I'll double check later if fishing rods work differently. It's just for now. That's what we'll operate on. Um. So. So you want to go fishing?
Yeah, my new fishing rod. You know.
So you head down to the docks. The usual kind of menagerie of pirate vessels, kind of drifting in and out. But nobody disturbs you, and you sit down to fish. Make a survival check.
Good at that. Let's see. Survival. Okay. Got a 12.
Kind of leave your line dangling in the water for a bit. Nobody really questions you, although you occasionally hear whispers from nearby pirates that makes you suspect that you're probably not going to catch anything in the middle of the docks. Because there's boats coming in and out and people around here constantly. So you wager that any fish that were here have probably been fished out. But after a brief pause, you feel a tug on your line, and you reel her in. She puts up a mighty fight. You kind of wrestle with the rod for a bit before, with a great, you yank what you caught out of the water. Make me a nature check.
Nature. see. Got no modifier. Got an 8.
You can't identify what it is, but it is something along the lines of what we in the real harp. It has like pretty colorful scales, and it looks pretty like thick and meaty. So this will probably make for a decent.
Yeah. That will probably kill me from poison,
So do you want to cook that tonight?
Well, since I have no reason not to. So yeah, I'll take it home with me.
So you take your catch, and of course go ahead and note this down when you.
Yes.
So you head back with your hatch in tow, and Flower and Fall. Can you go ahead and make me a check?
Okay. Can they figure it out? Save us from what we're about to eat.
I won't be saving you anytime soon on the nature.
Hey, I got a 0. Not much different.
5.
Oh, okay.
You come back to see Paul cooking a fish in your. He's just kind of filleting it and whatnot. But I mean, seems like good food. So,
Yeah, fish.
go ahead and make me a dexterity roll, Paul. You will add up your this as well because you cook
Cooking.
stuff. Yeah.
Fishing and cooking.
Yeah. So dexterity plus your dexterity modifier and your.
My dexterity. Don't remember. It is +2 with a +2, so it's a +4 to a 12. That's 16.
Okay. Paul, Flower and Fall, you come back from visiting, so you're just kind of hanging out in the inn since that dinner's about to be ready anyway. Paul, go to cut into the fish, and so you go you're like, all right, let's do this. So you pick it up, you pick up your knife, and you go to cut into it, and your knife just clink, clink. It's like you're trying to stab into arm with your little cook knife. And you're like, all right, hang on, let me try this again. So you try to dig under the scales, and it's like trying to pry the scales off a dragon. This fish is not gonna get torn apart, but eventually you sit back, you crack your knuckles, and you're just like, all right, I haven't let any meal stop me yet. I am Paul the butler. I'm going to cook this thing, so help me. So, buckle down, and you start one by one, slowly and painfully. I mean, the fish is dead, but for you, slowly and painfully, prying each individual scale off.
Well.
Can you call it and make me a history check?
Oh, I have nothing in history. But I got 11.
You do recall that, now that you're actually sitting there cooking it, and so you're smelling how it smells when it's cooked and all that. You do start to actually kind of recall this. You've never had it yourself, nor have you ever cooked it, but you do know this fish is eaten. So you kind of buckle down and just kind of skin it bit by bit, before you have a naked little fish. You cook it and serve it for yourself, Flower and Fall. I'm guessing you all dig in as enthusiastically as you can for a dish that took 2 hours to make.
I worked very hard for that dish,
So you all bite into it?
I guess.
Yeah.
You all bite into it.
Yeah.
And you are overwhelmed with disgust.
Oh.
It tastes like you're basically biting into lead.
Wow.
Like, you ever like heard a bad sound and gotten like a metallic taste in your mouth? Like, you know what I mean, right? Like
I think so, yeah.
whenever you get like dentist fillings or something and you just have that metallic taste.
I get a brief idea, yeah.
Yeah, basically you're eating meat that gives you that. It is disgusting and horrible. Like it is
Ah,
by bar none one of the worst things any of you have ever eaten.
interesting.
Wow, never again.
Yeah. Hey.
This, for like you won't know this in character, but just for some kind of fun world thing, this is a creature known as a Yulong, one of the most populous fish in the Fictarian waters. It is like you can't swim more than 5 feet without finding one of these things, and it is one of the most disgusting and difficult things. Its scales are actually used as armor in some cultures. And the only barely passable way to eat it is by cutting a hole in the scales, like by plucking them and then cutting in the skin, so that you can essentially make haggis out of it. Because the reason that you got that metallic taste is because the scales are basically armor and poisoned. You're not gonna like be sick or anything outside of just, oh, that's disgusting. So you're not like actually or anything, but it's
Yeah.
pretty gross.
Get it.
So you two can have any interaction you want to have based on that. It's okay if not, just
I'm trying to think, like, so we don't know about the scales too much.
yeah. I was just saying that for some fun. Well, all you know is you found a fish, you cooked it, it was horrible.
All right. Well, I throw away the fish. No. I put the fish in the trash bin. Then I burn the fish.
So you start a trash fire in the middle of this inn, but like there's an open window in that hole, so you're not like it wafts out relatively well. The smell of it burning, by the way, horribly unpleasant. Guys,
But they will never live again.
yeah, you guys are just sitting there retching from the taste and from the smell of it burning as the smoke wafts out, um, wafts out of the room. Uh, so, Flower and Fall, you have anything?
Never cook that again. Ever.
Agreed.
All right. So, do either of you have anything else you want to?
Man. Guess try to get better at fishing, or I wanted to try to be like a. I guess my thought process is like we're gonna be going. Probably not gonna be on this island. We're gonna probably sail out, right?
Anna
Yeah.
did say that like basically she doesn't know what the keys specifically are,
Yeah.
and she doesn't know exactly where they are right now, but that's what she's trying to figure out. But she does know that the point is that they're scattered. So yeah, you're definitely gonna be on the island. Falls free.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking. So I was like, we're gonna be in a boat. So I guess I could just if I can get proficient at like fishing or something like that. So that's my plan.
Um, kind of debating.
Or I
Okay.
just fish a lot.
Yeah. Okay. How much money do you have? Because bear in mind, you're gonna need to like pay for like tackle and.
22 gold.
All right. Okay. Now, bear in mind, I'm like, So this is one D&D rule I'm gonna fudge a little.
Why?
Normally, I was doing some research on this before we started the interview. Normally, to learn new languages or proficiency, it takes you like in-game months of just sitting there doing nothing but practicing. I don't really feel like doing that. It feels like kind of unfair to you characters to kind of force like chill in one place for like 4 to 8 months just learning how to fish. So I'll tell you what, Bill, until you kind of hit that sort of time frame, I'll say you don't become proficient, but you will get a bonus to those skill checks. Does that work for you guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so altogether, Paul, I'm guessing you just come out here and just fish at least once every day.
Yeah, unless I get that one fish, I'm gonna I'm
Yeah.
try to cook it again.
Okay. So let me do some math. So altogether, how much gold did you have?
22 gold.
It is going to cost you. Now you're paying for this in billings, but overall, it actually does perfectly. Unless I did my math wrong, but like, I'm not. I don't want to sit here and do calculations for something as minute as the exact cost of fishing tackle. So overall, if my math is right, you've paid up to 10 gold fishing for just a couple weeks until Anna gets in touch with you again. So all that practice, you have garnered, I'll say, a +1 survival check.
Survival check.
Yeah, because that would be what fish. So. Because I mean, hey, that knowledge could be applied. Like you go somewhere and you're like, hey, we're gonna forge, and then you go catch a fish. So, I'll say you maintain your current count unless you want to pay a little bit extra to refresh it back to 6. But so you pay 10 gold, but get so you note this on your character sheet. You have a permanent +1 to survival checks just from like basically nothing but fishing and cooking for several weeks. So just because again, ordinarily, it would take you months to just outright become proficient. So I'm going to kind of cut out the middleman and say that you can build it up over time.
And that's close to being proficient as it is, to be honest, because
yeah,
our proficiency is +2 right now.
Oh, nice. So yeah. Um, so you got a +1 now to survival. You paid 10 gold for tackle and bait. Go ahead and make me a survival check with your new modifier to see the kind of overall quality of your work.
I'd roll for all that overall quality. Yeah, with +1, that'd be 12.
You fish. There are some days where you don't catch anything. There are some days where you catch a long, which you promptly, I imagine, throw back.
No. I make sure it dies.
You kill it first and then throw it back. Let the sharks have their way with it.
And the sharks will probably die.
But you do occasionally catch some fish. And so you Flower and Fall share some pretty good meals together. It's not every day. Again, sometimes you catch nothing at all. So so there are some days where just you don't really get a whole lot, but there are others where you get some pretty fish. So overall, it's not been a terrible haul, all things considered.
Yeah.
All right. So is that everything you guys want to do in between segment?
Yeah.
Okay. Qua, I'm guessing you want to take a break here to recharge. One more time. Sorry, you're mumbling. Okay. So, for those of you watching, videos of D5 should start going out sometime this weekend or the next weekend, around then. And we will be starting chapter 1, Serpents in the Wind. Same time as usual. We just started a day late because this week. Same time as usual next week. So we will see all of you then. See you next time.